Housing Development Progress. Number one and the best. Housing Development Progress. Number one. Number one. Housing Development Progress. Number one and the best. Housing Development Progress. Number one. Housing Development Progress. In Nigeria. Housing Development Progress. In Africa. Housing Development Program and the globe. Number one, Housing Development Program.
It's time for your favorite housing TV show, Housing Development. Glad to have you join me on yet another informative episode of the program. As always, I am your housing diva, Fleur Annie. Before we delve into our lineup for today, let's see the news making rounds in the housing sector.
Estate Intel's African Real Estate Capital Trends Report 2024 reveals that Nigeria has attracted $600 million in real estate investment over the past 13 years. The report highlights that key cities in South Africa, Nigeria, Egypt, and Mauritius have been pivotal, driven by robust property markets and their status as Africa's business centers. Despite the challenges of the post-COVID era, these countries continue to dominate Africa's real estate landscape, supported by resilient capital markets and ongoing investor confidence. The federal government has suspended approval for the construction of new road networks across the country. This decision was revealed by Minister of Works, David Umahi, during a stakeholders' engagement in Calabar. Umahi explained that President Bola Tinubu's directive prompted this action, with the ministry now prioritizing the completion of ongoing projects in the upcoming 2025 budget cycle. The focus remains on advancing sections of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway project, including a 97-kilometer spur from Cross River State into the southeast and north-central regions of Nigeria. Experience Housing and Construction Development at its peak as Africa's largest housing and construction exhibition and conference, the Africa International Housing Show moves its venue to the stunning National Stadium in Abuja, Nigeria. A bigger venue than the International Conference Center (ICC) to expand opportunities for exhibitors and attendees. The Africa International Housing Show is boldly advancing innovation by extending to a 6-day event from July 20th to July 27th, 2024, accommodating more exhibitors to showcase groundbreaking products and ideas. This year, the end-of-conference dinner and awards night will be held at the prestigious Transcorp Hilton in Abuja. The decision to relocate the Africa International Housing Show, AIHS, to a larger venue comes from several factors. These include the considerable increase in participation, limitations in space at the current venue ICC, the opportunity arising from the closure of the ICC for renovations, the need for upgraded facilities, and the goal to ensuring seamless operations and accessibility for all attendees.
To read the full details of the news and more, visit www.africanhousingnews.com. The growing effect of climate change has left countries struggling with numerous environmental challenges. It has displaced millions of people from their houses as ocean surge, thunderstorm, extreme hotness, Flooding during changing climate has caused hostile situations in the countries like Nigeria, where the preservation of the environment is downplayed. Experts have warned that if left unchecked, it will cause more havoc in the housing sector and the country at large. Take a listen.
The Nigerian climate has been irregular over the years, alternating between periods of extreme dry or rainy season. Climate change in Nigeria has led to seasons of drought and excess flooding, which threatens the country's economic growth and caused loss of lives and properties. These issues have over time become worrisome.
We're not just looking at flooding now. Let's look at high winds, storm. At the onset of every rainfall, this usually happens. You will see a lot of homes being blown up by winds, very strong winds. And why? It's climate related, but we are also part of the problem. What did we do? If an estate is springing up now, all the trees that are supposed to act as windbreaks are usually cut down, and none is replanted. So when the wind comes, there's nothing to slow down the speed of the wind. So it carries off the roof of houses.
In the FCT, the menace is not different. Most areas in the city have continuously been affected by flooding, displacing properties and leaving some houses submerged. Nigeria has to mitigate the negative impact of climate change at the individual and national level. Environmentalists have advised that the mitigation should involve enforcing the Nigerian climate change policy.
What we have done in Abuja and in most parts of the country is that people knowingly, I would say in the case of Abuja, will just encroach into natural waterways and natural water paths, build on it. And the fact is that water must find its course. And so, when it comes, there's flooding. We have natural areas, we have green areas, we have natural waterways, right? Now, all that is needed is to clearly mark out these areas and ensure that development don't take place and enforce it. It's not just going back to sit and then when there's crisis, then you come. But it's to enforce and continuous monitoring to ensure that people don't encroach into those natural pathways.
The onus is on the federal government to collaborate with relevant stakeholders to ensure that policies are revised and implemented based on current environmental challenges. There should also be public awareness to educate citizens on the negative impact of climate change and how to avert emerging problems.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, AIHS 2024 in July is the best place to be. Don't miss out. You must be there. Don't wait for the story to be told. You must experience it live at the National Stadium, Abuja. My name is Town Planner Nathaniel Atebije, the National President of the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners.
Welcome back. Before renting out a property in Nigeria, it is important that you create a tenancy agreement with the tenant. The prospective landlord will provide the tenancy agreement to you when you become a tenant. The landlord's lawyer can also prepare the tenancy agreement on behalf of the landlord and present it to you on arrival. But then, how many tenants read through the tenancy agreement before signing the document? Let's find out on Voices on the Streets.
Tenancy agreements, the agreements that your landlord gives you right? Okay. Before I sign anything, even if it's not tenancy agreement, I do go through it and read it to see if I'm signing my death sentence. So I do go through it before signing it.
You definitely have to read before you actually sign. It's because there are some landlords that will really want to put some certain things into it that maybe I should just look at it as hidden agreements. You understand? That if you don't read it, you won't know it. You understand? So you have to read so that you know the implication of what you are bargaining for. In case you enter the house, and if there's a kind of a situation that will emanate either between you and the landlord, then you have to, as in, really shout out. I think that's fair. It's okay to read it before signing any agreement with a landlord.
Frankly speaking, majority of the people don't go through the agreement before they sign. Sometimes it may be because of their desperate looking for a house, and sometimes it may be as a result of not well acquainted with the terms used in the agreement, because it takes a legally minded person to understand the terms of the tenancy agreement. And because of that, some landlords normally hide behind the legal terms to conceal some of the basic things they need to let the tenant know about the agreement before they sign.
I do go through it. Sometimes when you collect something like that, you have to go through it and know what is really inside the tenancy agreement for you to know the laws that the landlord is placing on the house that you want to rent.
Anything agreement, whether tenancy or whatever agreement, you are ought to go through it. Why? Because agreement is a covenant. And if you don't get it right, it affects you. You definitely guys go through any agreement before you agree. Right? So whenever a landlord gives you an agreement, of course you go through it, read the detail. If it does not carry with your consent, you cannot sign it. Why? Because it will affect you subsequently.
I don't normally go through it, but sometimes you see that they will pack many pages. The write-up will be much. I'll just go the necessary ones and leave the rest. An issue we have last week, the landlord just brought a quick notice of 3 weeks, which my money is supposed to finish around September, and they are giving me quick notice because of we complained that we don't have water in that house. So I have to draw attention of my lawyer to call attention on a lawyer to intervene on the issue pertaining the agreement. So when they started discussing about it, my lawyer asked me, "Did you go through the tenancy agreement?" I say no. So you see, that one is my own fault. So it's very good for everyone. If you are renting any house, any household shops, you're supposed to go through it. Make sure you have time for that. Even if you don't have time, you can take it to any lawyer to go through it. It is very, very important to go through that tenancy agreement before you pay for the rent.
Voices on the street there. Tenancy agreement must be requested for before moving into any property, residential or commercial. It is a binding legal document which has important implications on the committed rights and obligation on the part of both the landlord and the tenant. The terms of a tenancy agreement must be carefully considered before signing, and as a tenant, you are entitled to receive a copy of the signed agreement. I'll be back in a moment. Welcome back. Glad to know you're still with me. Coming up next is a report from Africa International Housing Show.
Africa International Housing Show is Africa's biggest housing and construction expo. It has emerged as the largest housing and construction event showcased out of Nigeria, with over 30,000 participants every year. The show features product presentation, an exhibition of science, technology and innovation, building technology for affordable housing, modern construction, among others. The event gives exhibitors the opportunity to introduce new products and meet the right buyers. The event has paraded the highest number of professionals and government functionaries. The African International Housing Show creates opportunity for the exchange of ideas and preferring of solutions to various barriers of housing development. It creates opportunity for direct exchanging of finances, potential partners and investors from all over the world. Over the years, companies who are leading brands in the housing industry have competed to be among the sponsors as they see this platform as the best place to be when it comes to the housing industry in Africa. Missing this unique opportunity is not an option. Register today. Africa International Housing Show, the largest housing and construction event in Africa. Be there.
You're watching Housing Development. In an effort to boost tourism and create a sanctuary where modern elegance meets natural beauty, GMH Luxury Investment Limited has unveiled its vision for a new resort, the Maris, an oasis set to redefine luxury at a 3-day exhibition held in Abuja. Here's a full report.
They say all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. In a world where hustle and bustle dominate our days, GMH Luxury Investment Limited brings a refreshing escape, a glimpse into what's to come in the next 2 years. Introducing the Maris, a forthcoming oasis set to redefine luxury living. Unveiling the proposed project, the managing director and CEO of the group spoke on the group's vision to create a magical, unforgettable escape for travelers seeking a relaxing getaway. He also emphasized the project's role in reducing capital flight, saying the Maris is not just a luxurious destination, but also a symbol of homegrown investment that will retain wealth within Nigeria.
GMH, as they know us, we don't just do project. Whenever we set out to do a particular project, there is a need to be solved. So the Maris is actually solving 2 major problems. If you look at the top 10 country in Africa, the most top 10 travel country in Africa, Nigeria is not part of it. The Maris is capable of putting reintroducing Nigeria to the tourist market. And the potentials are there. So the Maris also is solving the FX liquidity that our current economy is suffering from. So the Maris is to reawaken the giant that is in Nigeria, and that's what the Maris is about. It's taking the frontier in opening Nigeria up to the world in terms of tourism, in terms of hospitality, in exporting our art, culture, and food. That's what the Maris is about.
Experts in the built environment, in their goodwill messages, commended the vision and ambition behind the Maris, describing the project as a model for sustainable tourism development.
In the human environment, there are 3 critical issues: where we live, where we work, and where we play or relax. That is recreation. And so this is the 3rd leg of the environment. When you don't have the 3rd leg, there is no balance in the environment. So this idea, this concept, this invention is something that we need to complement and to complete the essence of livelihood.
And what GMH is doing today and is unveiling is quite impressive, because I witnessed the presentation. The design is so awesome. And I wish them the very best that they deliver this to us in Nigeria so that we can enjoy that luxury with them.
The Marriott is clearly a very unique proposition. You can see all the offerings that they have put on ground, and I think that with the planning that has gone into it, with the execution so far, I'm pleased to note that this is going to be a highly successful project. It's going to be a great addition to the real estate skyline of Lagos, and I'm happy to commend the project to all stakeholders.
As an urban planner, I feel it's a laudable project, and it's going to help Nigeria to also gain some foreign exchange, which is good for us, and maybe we can revive our economy.
Imagine a sanctuary where modern elegance meets natural beauty, where every detail is meticulously designed to inspire awe. The Marriott at this early stage promises not just a resort, but a lifestyle, as it represents the ultimate embodiment of imagination and possibility, and a alluring vision of what's yet to come. Indeed, the best way to predict the future is to create it.
Before I wrap up the program today, let's find out the current prices of some building materials as we take a visit to the Gudu Building Materials Market.
Okay, can you tell us briefly, within the current state of the country at the moment, how is business going for you?
Business is very slow and very hard currently in this country, even here in this market. The materials we buy maybe in a place of 5,000 naira is about 7,000 naira now. So the cost of materials is very high. Like when it comes to this blue pipe you are seeing here now, we have 2 inches pipe. Before the 2 inches pipe 4 bar go in the rate of 1,500 naira, but now it's in the rate of 3,000 naira. Then when you go to 4 inches pipe 4 bar, before the rate was 3,000 naira, but now it's 5,000 naira. That's why some people abandoned the projects. Like when it comes to WC, earlier January of this year, WC is being sold of 31,000 naira. Now the smallest WC is being sold on 61,000 naira. And one of the biggest WC is being sold on 50,000 naira. Now it's being sold on 95,000 naira. So cost of living in this country is very high.
People no longer buy building material again because of the cost of the materials and the situation of our country now, because no cash everywhere dry up, people no longer build. People they build now is very little, so our business is going slowly. It's not as it is before. Price before, like 60 by 60, we sold it maybe 3,000. Now some of them is 4,800, some of them is 5,200. All the product is increased. Everything is increased.
The business is not funny. This day you just come, whatever you see, you take. You understand? When it comes to price, customers are scared of coming to buy because of they don't know the price they're going to meet in the market. Like us buying, like the price of dollar is very high. If you buy dollar today 1,050 naira, and you are calculating your material at 1,050 naira, before the material will now come back to this place, dollar may be 500, and you cannot see that you have already bought at 1,050 naira. You understand? So what government need to do is they should work on the dollar. Then once they work on the dollar, I believe other things will follow.
For the price, it's running from now, it's 120,000 naira. Why this was sold for 130, 120k, but right now it's 160,000 naira. Then for the curtains as well, we have varieties of cotton. We have Turkish and many other cottons, but this material was sold for 4,800 naira, but now it's 6,000 naira due to the cost of the economic situation of the country. And
Do you have any other major products that you would like
the
to?
accessories as well. They were all sold for those ones. This one, very one here was sold for 5,000. We sell for 7,000 now.
My name is Toyin Ayinde. I'm an urban planner. There's a tradition of where to be in July of every year, and the only place you can be that can bring you lasting memory is AIHS. So be at AIHS 2024, happening live at the National Stadium in Abuja. It's an experience that you will never ever forget. We'll be waiting to see you there.
Investment in affordable housing construction currently remains far below the level of public offers. Yet, another avenue to reduce the cost of housing development is to have an improved business environment for investors. Let's make housing a top priority in Nigeria. On that note, I wrap up today's episode of the program Housing Development. Thanks for watching. I remain Flora Ani, your housing diva. See you soon.